Mr. O'Day and Harriet Chandler, Senator Chandler. Oh, we're going to do the minutes first. Yeah, I'm sorry. Approved minutes from December 20th, 2017, regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
December 20th, 2017, executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And you have a warrant, Pat?
I'll make a motion to approve the warrants as printed in the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, she's not here, okay. Okay, we'll go with something.
Colleen's here.
Colleen? Want to come up now? Just introduce yourself and...
Hi.
Aye.
How are you?
Cheers. Slide back. Hi, I'm Colleen Abrams, Wachusett Greenways, and my residence is Holden, but my homes are between Sterling and Barry, and all along the rail trail. And I'm here to talk about the Mass Central Rail Trail once again, and primarily to thank you, but also to ask you for continued support. This year, our prime project is one that we embarked on really 20 years ago when we looked at the bridge at the 140 Causeway, the Beaman Street section of the 140 Causeway, and the town of West Boylston and Wachusett Greenways and many of our partners hoped then that there would be a pedestrian way trail access on the bridge that comes from the Stillwater River into the Thomas Basin of the reservoir. And at that time, the bridge was repaired, restored as a historic stone arch bridge, but it wasn't deemed really adequate to add a pedestrian way at that time. So forwarding to now, we've been continuing to work on this 140 connection for the Mass Central Rail Trail, which again goes between Northampton, or will go between Northampton and Boston. The railroad did. And it's our hope to eventually connect this Mass Central Rail Trail. This 140 Causeway is kind of the premier center connection of the whole rail trail. And in 2002, Harriet Chandler placed both this 140 Causeway and the tunnel under Route 56 in Rutland in a transportation bond bill. And at the time, the estimated cost was somewhat more reasonable, and we had high hopes that both projects would be done soon. It took until, I think, 2012 until we finally did the Route 56 underpass or tunnel, and that was with a great deal of encouragement from the Commonwealth and various assortment of grants and so forth, but I won't belabor all of that. But fast forward back to the 140 Causeway, we've been putting together pieces of grants for the design and engineering and for the construction on each end of that causeway connection. And those grants are through the Recreational Trails Grant Program and also through the partnership, DCR Partnership Matching Program. So we still have to come up with some additional funding. The causeway connector itself will be a more costly project. We don't yet know the exact cost, and we don't yet know all the sources of funding, but we believe it can and will happen. And we hope that all of you here, as some of your predecessors, will continue to support this project. It's a big one, but when you look at the Norwottuck Trail in Northampton, which is the western terminus of the Mass Central line, and you look at that beautiful bridge that goes over the Connecticut River, you can hopefully envision that we can also have a beautiful bridge slash trailway, whatever exact form it takes right here in West Boylston. So that's what we're continuing to work on. And the project that is the next grant proposal for the 2008 Recreational Trails Program is to connect the trail from basically from the beginning of Pleasant Street, right where the bollard is, going whatever direction it is, mostly, well, it's east based on the rail trail, but at any rate, connecting to the end of Pleasant Street, so to extend the trail. And whenever we do a trail connection, the landowner needs to be in support, and we need a letter of support from that landowner. So in this case, it's the town of West Boylston that owns the Pleasant Street connection. And so we're asking for your support, and we hope that you will be on board with continuing the trail to the end of Pleasant Street. In addition to that, we've asked all 8 towns, plus all legislators, to write letters of support for this Recreational Trails Program grant. And not only are we looking to make the Pleasant Street connection on it, but also to do an improvement on a section of the trail in West Boylston, which has been, we've received some expressions of concern that it's kind of bumpy. It's some of the original construction from more than 20 years ago. And after the big washout with the Beaver Dam, which many of you probably remember, when we reconstructed that, it really improved that section of trail. We did a little more work on the drainage and came out with a trail surface that was more durable for all seasons. And I think that we can improve the section of trail basically from the washout going up to the 190 underpass, which is that section of West Boylston. Your DPW has been wonderful in helping to maintain it and take care of it and mow the shoulders. But there's just something about the material that the original construction was, it's just not quite up to the standard that I think it can be. And in addition, there are 2 sections of trail in Holden that were not constructed at the 5% or less grade, and we're going to work to realign those to whatever degree we're able and to make it more like an all-purpose rail trail, multi-use trail. So those are all put together in one package in order to maximize our efforts for the coming year.
You're looking for support of the board to go forward with this grant?
Yes, both in general in support of the whole package for the Rails to Trails, right, recreational trails project, but also for the actual land used to develop the Pleasant Street section.
I think it's a wonderful idea, and I'll make a motion that we support the use of the discontinued Pleasant Street as a rail trail.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is it still the town owns the property, right?
Yes, the town owns the property. This is just changing the use from an abandoned roadway to use as a recreational trail.
So they are not looking for any funds or any support?
No, they're just
Monitoring
looking
support from
for
the town.
permission to use that section of roadway for extension of the rail trail.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
do you have any way of calculating the amount of people that use the rail trail?
We've done trail counts. We've been so focused in the past year on removing dead trees on the trail. And also, it's hard to get people who want to stand out and greet the people. So they're willing to come out and remove the trees and drag the logs. And then I say, and wouldn't you like to come out and help count people and encourage them to join us? And they say, not really. So
I'm just curious,
Yeah,
'cause
so we would like to do more trail counts. The last time we did one that I felt was a good one, an accurate one, you really need to start at 6 a.m. and end at dark, or
Right.
6 p.m., depending on the season. And the other issue is you can't just have one person standing there. You cannot count everybody, and you can't talk to them. You end up being like rude or
Yeah.
crazy. So we need 2 or 3 people to actually do a good trail count. And in fact, they do them statewide, and they send out little notices reminding us it's Trail Count Week, but we intend to do it. But so to finally answer your question, I think the highest day count we had on a really busy Saturday was about 700 people.
Well, you can see that when you drive by it, it has grown over the years, which is a
Yes.
great thing, and people do talk about it, not just from our town, but from every place. I was just curious, because I'm sure that will continue to grow as, more word gets out, but I was just curious.
What I like to see is the numbers increasing, the number of cars parked out on 122 in Rutland, in Sterling, seeing a spread out use. But the bigger thing when you stand out there is the stories. you know, that this is my happy place. You know, some other people who really like to come out on the trail. But it's those little, you know, I brought my friend, this is somebody from Australia, I don't know, just all the little stories are the, somebody lost their hat, it flew into a tree, and did I tell this the last time I was here? No, I don't want to repeat myself. You get it? Anyway, their hat flew off from some tower in Vermont, and it was their Greenways hat, so we had to replace it for free. But it's those fun, you know, the connecting things. The best message, the best note we've ever received from a member renewing just came this week, and she said, "Thank you so much for the community building. Oh, and by the way, thanks for the rail trail." And that was it. That's really what our,
Good.
that's our thing.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any discussion? All right, motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you very much. Two quick things. Thank you very much for coming to the birthday party, the 20th birthday party. Also to Mr. O'Day. And we missed Harriet Chandler, but she's been our supporter from the get-go. And so thank you very much, because that 20th birthday party was fun. But you made it to Walmart, and that's also good. Thank you. And thank you for supporting us. This was the first year that we asked all 8 towns to support us financially for things like portable restrooms and so on. And 6 of 8 made it on board, and the 2 remaining have indicated that they will put it on their very next town meeting warrant, and hopefully this time, it just, you know, all select board members supported, but somehow those last 2 towns couldn't quite get over the hump. But we aim to have everybody on board, and that should help keep the basic
Right.
operating going. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good luck with the grant.
Thank you.
Okay, 7:15. Senator Chandler, Rep. O'Day, come on up.
Good evening.
How are you?
Happy New Year.
Any,
Thanks for the invite.
Yes,
You're always welcome here.
thank you.
All right, would you like to start?
Yeah, I would be happy to start. I think we may have the same materials. I think that there are 4 home rules that you have provided us from West Boylston, am I correct? One is House 3015. Not seeing any recognition from anybody. All right, it's the act relative to affordable housing in the town of West Boylston. Is that familiar to you? A second is House 1433, an act relative to the position of Director of Public Works in the town of West Boylston. A third is the cemetery land transfer. Yes. A fourth is West Boylston Water District, the new well issue. All right. I can't report on anything. There was a hearing, and it must have been in the House, a hearing on December 19th on the affordable housing in the town of West Boylston. And that was relatively recently, and there was a holiday in there, and so I'm sure that is coming back.
Yeah, that was just a hearing, but I think we can report that an act relative to the position for Director of Public Works has concurrence in both the Senate and the House, and so we're just waiting now for the governor to sign it.
Well, it's been passed in the House. It is being done on Friday in the Senate.
Oh, okay.
That's an unusual situation to have it done so quickly. We just got it. Literally, we just got it. And then if we're in session, we're supposed to be in session on Friday, depends on the weather. And if we're not in session on Friday, then it will be done on Monday. Excuse me, no, let's take that back. It would be done in the Senate, it would be done on Tuesday, the next time we're in an informal session, or Thursday when we're in another informal session, all right? So we plan to do it as quickly as possible. The cemetery land transfer issue. We've had no language from the town. We can't do anything until we have your language. So please get the language to us and we'll do what we can.
So I think they're There's no final decision yet, but at this point, the cemetery board has asked the selectmen to look to see if the more feasible route would be to acquire private property for the expansion of the cemetery rather than work with a land transfer from DCR. And they have gone through an RFP process. They did receive some letters of interest. Nothing that was able to be accepted at that time. We've just initiated a second RFP process. Proposals are due by February 5th, and it will depend on the outcome of that as to whether or not the selectmen, the cemetery board, wish to consider going with a private route or bringing back the conversation about doing a land exchange.
Yeah, so you had mentioned that that was going on simultaneously, and so I know we were just really sort of waiting to see how that might have worked out. So it's good to hear that. But certainly, if that shouldn't work out, we stand at the ready to grab the language and, bring it forward and
Great.
see what
And
we
we'll
can do.
move it just as quickly as we can.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
And finally, the West Boylston Water District with the new well. We're waiting for further information from the water district. So this is not in your court any longer, it's in the water district, and perhaps a phone call from you to the water district to tell them to move that along might facilitate that as quickly as possible.
I think they are working on that. We just had a discussion about that a little while ago. They are working on trying to get that.
Yeah. So I also know that last session, we were able to successfully pass through and have it enacted, an act establishing an appointment of the town clerk. And my understanding is here, I think that's going to be going on formally tonight.
It is.
Is it really?
For the new clerk, so I just wanted to say congratulations to the new clerk, and we were happy to be able to move that along. I know, Kim had stepped down.
Right.
And so it's great that you now have that authority to make that appointment, and I highly and strongly support your appointment of Ms. Noviello, so, thank you.
And we have 2 bond bills that you should know about. We've gone through this before. First of all, we have a general bond bill that's been done in the House, has not been done yet in the Senate. So if you have any general issues of interest for you that you need some help on with that bond bill, let me know. I have some contacts in the Senate, and I'd be happy to help you in any way I can.
You don't know the Senate President by
I-
any means? I'm just taking a guess, I don't know.
Could help. And finally, we've talked about this with you before, and this is really important. There is a housing bond bill coming. We don't get a lot of housing bond bills. And if there is any housing issues, please let us know. I mean, this is our opportunity. If there's any public housing that needs to be done here. We know that housing is at a premium all over the state, particularly, shall we say, working family housing. It really is at a premium, and it probably is a premium here as well. So if we can help you with that, we'd really be very happy to do so.
Well, as a member of the Affordable Housing Trust, we are working on a project right now, trying to get it going, but it's the beginning stage. Well, it's been a year and a half. We've been,
Speed it up.
we're doing as best we can.
Now, I would really urge you to do everything you possibly can to speed it up. We won't have another bond bill for probably another 2 years, and this would be...
Once this one comes out, right?
Once this one comes out, that's it. And if you have your plans pretty shovel-ready, and you probably don't if you're
No.
just, do what you can to move it along, if you can. And that really is about the size of what we have.
I'm just curious, on our other bond bill,
Yeah.
can we get that one pushed through as quick as it did the DPW, by any chance? Get that one funded?
Well, I mean, the good news with that one is it's still alive, right? I mean, I know there hasn't been a lot of, that really is in the hands of the administration at this point in time.
So there's nothing more we can,
Well, I
folks
mean,
can
I
do?
wouldn't say that there isn't anything more we can do. I mean, it's a matter of us continuing to be verbal and continuing to let them know that this is something that was approved 2.5 years ago. And, no, actually, it's 4 years ago now.
I mean, those bond bills sound good when
Sure.
when we tell everybody we're in a bond bill, but
A bond bill is almost funny money. A bond bill is something we can ask for, and we usually can get. But getting the governor to release the money is a different story. Bond bills have he has a bonding limit, and therefore, you have to wait for him to release the money. And there are all kinds of groups, I would assume, that are probably ahead of you and behind you. And that's part of the problem with the bond bill. But I'm wondering, tell me a little bit more about that affordable housing that we talked about that was heard on this. Could that be
could that be submitted?
submitted?
I was gonna say that I think that really falls in line with, they were looking at making some changes here within the town that may also be somewhat in conflict with, 40B.
Oh.
But putting some type of language together in a bond bill around housing, it would add to the stock that is here. So, I mean, any kind of housing, as you say, particularly affordable housing, would be warmly, I think, received here in town, right?
I just have
I do have one question. Senator and Representative. So the DEP now mandate each and every community which has the sewer systems to come up with a multi-year plan to inspect them, repair them. So if you recall, last town meeting, we did approve for like $81,000. I'm wondering, maybe, is there any state can fund us something to back
To do the
State.
inspection of the,
mandated?
I don't think they can do an inspection of the sewers. And now we come to the other issue that you don't want to hear. And I don't blame you, I don't want to say it. But we can't fund any senior centers either. We've gone through this before. There's some things we just don't fund. And I don't believe we do inspections of sewer systems, and we don't do senior centers.
well, I just want to, he's asking, since you mandated it, the
Mandate.
state mandated it.
I understand.
I mean, this isn't unusual. I can think back to Mr. Favolita.
Yep.
Since you
I
folks
remember him
mandated
well.
it, Can you get money to help us pay for it? Help us and every other town that's mandated to do this? The answer
Every
is-
other town is mandated too,
Correct,
so-
that's what I mean. So
That's the
answer is-
problem.
The answer is no, you can't
You
get.
got it.
I mean, I didn't think you wanted to say it, but so the answer is no, you can't get funded.
No.
Thank you.
There's some things we are more than willing to do.
I'll
We're
try to-
more than
try to
willing.
do, right.
But there are others that we just can't do because of the quantity that might be involved and the cost that might be involved. We're a little ahead budget-wise this year than we've been in the past. We're a little ahead of what we set for of our projections. And that is giving us, in fact, this might affect you. As you probably read in the paper today, the governor is finally going to release the money that he's been holding for our earmarks. And we have some earmarks here, don't we?
I don't think in this
None?
past budget we had any earmarks.
No earmarks? Well, in many communities, there are agencies that have been waiting since July for their earmarks to be funded. And the governor's held that money since July. He's held it, he says, because he's afraid that there just might not be enough money. Every month's revenue is a question mark. So now we're into January, half the year is over, and it is time to release the money because it's really unconstitutional to hold this money like this. And he is releasing it this month, in this week, and it will make a huge difference. But who knows?
The other question we talk about every single time we probably talk to you, and people always ask us, money from the jail because we host the jail. I know that's.
And it's a similar answer to the sewers, right? I mean, every community that
Every county
houses
has one, and they all, yeah.
wants the same sort of relief. And, and there are There have been years when I have filed that amendment to no
And I
avail,
filed it.
And the senator has filed it, and I have filed it in conjunction with another representative from the southeast, to no avail. So the major penal institutions, the Concords and the Walpoles, Cedar Junctions, I guess they're called. And I think,
Some of the state facilities.
the state facilities.
But I think, I'm
they
hearing,
do
I
have
think
that.
I read that that's even being cut.
Well, I think there has been some taken back of some of those funds, but they still get some.
Some.
More than what we get.
More than from the county.
Well, you get nothing,
You get
so,
zero.
that's, I would agree with you. I would agree with you, because I think it costs you. You ought to figure out, I mean, you probably know how much
We
it
have in the
costs you.
past
Yeah.
Put down some
I
numbers.
think the chief has absolutely 20 times.
At least.
Anybody else have anything? Really appreciate you guys coming in, thank you so much.
Thank you,
much.
thanks for the
Thank you.
opportunity.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And we will be happy to call you as soon, we will call you as soon as this bill passes. Our hope is that as soon as we're in session, so that we can get it passed, and then we have to enact it.
Yep.
In both the House and, it's done twice. It's
Okay.
engrossed first, they've engrossed it,
Enacted.
comes to us for engrossment, we send it back to them for enactment. And as soon as that's done, we will tell you about it, and you can urge the governor to sign it immediately, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. See ya.
Senator, and congratulations on
Thank
your new
you.
appointment.
I'm not sure it's congratulations.
Well, I saw her in action today. She was pretty good.
Good.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, John Shirossi, come on up. Ed, want to go up with him? He's for the Eagle Salt project presentation. Anybody have a copy of it?
We have these, if that's. We still have these.
John, just introduce yourself again and what you're doing here, please.
I'm John Sarassi. I'm here to resume conversation on the construction of a 9/11 memorial for the town.
Thank you. All right, so John made some very nice drawings, and this is, you're doing it through Aspen?
Yes, the drawings were supplied by an ASPED student.
Yeah, so I'm guessing this is a, it's tough to tell from the picture, but is it like a beam that's gonna be built out of a metal beam? Is that what it?
It's going to be made out of scrap metal essentially, but it is going to be in that shape,
It's gonna look like a,
essentially.
The best view is a three-dimensional drawing, and it's in the top right-hand corner of the first
Right.
page.
okay. And is the top going to be flat like this, or is it gonna be up at an
Slightly angled down.
slightly angled so that
Yep.
people? And has there been any discussion yet about if the piece of steel that we have, is it gonna be framed somehow so it's secure? So we don't have to drill into the,
The metal will be clamped.
And that's this drawing here.
okay. Is it this one?
Yes. That's the hand drawing showing how the steel will be clamped and not drilled or welded.
So it's not gonna, so the piece of steel will sit on the top and then there'll be some type of clamp that holds it?
Correct.
Yes.
And if you just, do you have a time frame on how?
Well, I'd like to get this all done and set possibly by April.
I think they can move as quickly as the town is ready.
Exactly.
And is there any discussion if this is gonna be bolted to the floor?
That was, I think we confirmed that at the last meeting.
That was the original plan.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything?
You plan on painting the steel, or is it just going to be sandblasted so it's shiny, or what's the stand itself?
The intent was that it would be natural, not painted.
It would look more like a piece of steel, and
Yes.
then we add
Yes.
the piece at the top.
Correct.
Anybody else have any questions?
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
So am I. It's been, we've been waiting a few years for it now, but it's gonna be a good project for you. We appreciate you doing it for us.
Thank you.
Do we need a motion for him to move forward on this? So with our approval, or?
I don't recall if a vote was taken last time. It wouldn't hurt to have a motion be made tonight.
I'll make a motion to approve the design that's been presented to us.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, thank you so much, we look forward to seeing it.
Who should be the point of contact for scheduling install? Because they may be ready in a matter of weeks.
You can contact me and, the town administrator, and then she can set something up.
Okay.
Because we have it put aside now downstairs.
It's down in the basement area. Yeah. I don't with me, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When the time comes for that, I think we should,
Have some sort of a
yeah,
ceremony.
the big hoopla type thing.
You're cutting it close.
Thank you. We're going to wait till 7:45 for the public hearings, that have to be at the same time, anytime?
It can't be before the stated time, it can be afterwards.
Okay.
It doesn't have any stated time.
It does not have to be at the stated time, so if
There
you
is no
take
stated-
There is
some,
no
There's
stated
no
time
time
on
on
the
it.
agenda. It just says there's a public hearing.
Is that 7:45 and after, is that what it means? By the top, it says John at 7:45.
what was the notice of the public hearing? Steve?
Originally, it was 7:30 for the last time, but we had...
It's a continuation?
Yes, continuation, so it can be any time now.
Okay.
Oh, we can do it now? Okay. All right, so we need to open up the public hearing again?
You're already open.
Or are we open? That's right, okay. So we're going to continue the public hearing for the gateway sign, some changes to the gateway sign bylaw. Mr. Ruccio and I were in, had a meeting last week, and we had a couple of things we want to recommend. You want to tell them? You want me to?
I mean, no, you can go ahead and do it.
One was to change $250 fee for 3 months. And the winner, which is out of a drawing, it's up to the discretion of the Economic Development Task Force who gets put on the sign, because we had some issue with the last sign. It was on, the sign's at Steve's, in front of Steve's Pizza, and it was a competing business that was picked to go, so that didn't go over too well. So we're gonna put it at the discretion of the Economic Development Task Force. If the drawing is to another restaurant or like business. I don't know the best way to, how we should do that, it's just something in that idea we want to put in the language.
So if it is a pizza place, you cannot put the sign? Is that my understanding?
Well, with this one sign here, because that's the only sign we have right now. We're looking, hopefully with more money, we're gonna be able to put in some more signs up, but right now, we only have one. So we don't feel it's fair to a business in town to put another business advertising in front of his.
So the intent is to still have the drawing, but if the name of the business drawn is a competing business to the business adjacent to the sign location, that drawing will be
Exactly.
put off to the side, you make another drawing.
Yes, correct. Is that, we just want to make sure that's legal and everything like that. We just don't want to have any issues with any other business in the town.
It's your policy to establish as you wish.
Yeah.
I have one question. The minutes here say every 90 days, and that's what you said. This says 5 months.
We change it to every 90 days, every 3 months. The $250 fee, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's gonna, this is gonna be 3 months?
Yes.
Quarterly.
If there's nobody that puts their, 3 months is up and ABC Inc. has the sign, nobody, to include ABC Inc., puts their name in, so now you have nobody. What's your intention? Are you gonna pull the ABC Inc. down at that point, just leave it blank?
We'll put the sign, we have a sign up there that says advertiser sign here.
Yep, no, I think that's fine for now. Try it.
Just a question, is there any provision provided to the business to have time to get the sign created and get installed? For example, the name of the business may be drawn and approved, but are you giving them, say, a couple weeks, a month's time to get the sign up before the 3-month clock starts ticking?
That's a good point.
Well, right now, I guess if we want to go quarterly, January, February, March, April 1st could be the next one. And so we could set up and have the drawing before April 1st and give them time to make the sign. And then they could get it for April 1st. So I think we should say quarterly, April 1st, April, May, June, we'll do the next 3 months.
I think we did the drawing, if we have the drawing like the month before, And give them notice to people who won, there will be plenty of time to get sign made in time to put up there.
So if we put it in there sometime, it will go up quarterly.
Now, we had issues with anybody wanting to pay for this. I know you've been doing it for free for a year, 6 months, however long it's been. What makes you confident that people will pay for it? Have you gotten feedback from,
We've had a lot of people, said they didn't realize they could advertise on it. We've had a lot of positive feedback,
good.
and we think that,
now that you gave me,
Yeah.
you gave your product away for free?
now I can get
Now
some kind of
people are willing
reward
to pay
for it. Exactly.
So Anita, now, would we need to set up a revolving account for the Economic Development Committee? Because the plan was, this money goes into an account that we could possibly buy more signs in a few years or in a year.
It would have to be established into a revolving account. We would
Until
have to
that
develop
happens,
that.
right, until that happens, can the money be put aside?
I believe we could establish a gift account of sorts
Okay.
in the meantime. I'll have to double check that with the town accountant.
Yeah, that's one of the questions we have. We want to make sure how to do that.
I believe we already have one.
Assume we
We
don't.
already have it?
A revolving account or a gift account?
We have a revolving account.
Okay, so if we have that, we can just put it in there.
Excellent. All right. Does anybody else have any questions? Anything from the public? Okay, motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion on the bylaw changes.
Make a motion to change policy L15 for the sign to cost $250 for each 3-month period.
Second.
And any other change?
Discretion of the sign.
And, yeah, and to add that the,
Reserves the right to.
that the name drawn will be at the discretion of the Economic Development Task Force.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just got the, you alert.
Thank you. All right, new business. Consider improving reserve fund transfer in the amount of $1,000 for ZBA salaries and wages. To pay for the clerk, is that what is the name?
This is for the ZBA clerk.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Review and consider approving, social media disclaimer language. I don't know if everybody get a chance to look at that.
So are we saying that we're gonna add this language somewhere on the fire department, on the fire department Facebook page, they would need to have this language?
They would have to have this disclaimer displayed on the page.
So you showed us, you gave us an email or something the other day that had it on it, had some kind of disclaimer on it. Is that what's gonna be on it from now on?
No, the disclaimer language that's being suggested by town council is this longer version.
Right. And that will be on everything that,
It would be on each of the town-sponsored Facebook pages.
anything we generate.
Yep,
Right, I think that's.
Just on the front page, right?
right. It would be
Just one time.
visible at some point.
One time, one place.
Yes.
Yeah, we could, I mean, I don't know if there's a section that says about, there's a section that says, usually I see them under there, so I don't know. We can ask town council exactly where it
So I have to
should be.
put it.
I don't think we need town council approval of location, but the important thing is to make sure that it's on that main page.
Yeah, so if there's a way.
And we could have it be, a disclaimer, see more, or something,
Or it could be
so
the-
it doesn't take a lot of space on
The
that.
way the post can stay at the top
Yep.
as the first post, and this could be the first post.
So this is only for the, Facebook only, okay.
Well, I don't know if the towns.
Do we have a town website?
Just for Facebook, is that?
This would only be for
Town's
any social
webpage.
media that allows comments, et cetera. So our town website does not allow comments to be posted on our website, so currently this would only relate to the Facebook pages that we have.
And then you have a list of which Facebook pages are official towns pages.
Yes.
I don't have any issue with it. I'll make a motion to approve, I don't want to read it all. The language provided by town council for the disclaimer for our social media sites.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Discuss and re-vote a stipend to Brittany Blaney for filling in as access coordinator from July to October 2017. I want everybody to be aware, we got a letter from John Schliep, and he had a couple of issues with it. I gave everybody a copy, and I don't know if everybody had a chance to read it. Okay. I just wanted to be out there and make sure everybody was aware of that. She also, in his letter, she used two last names. One was the same person. I just want everybody to understand.
Brittany Blaney dash Anderson. And I'm probably, it was just Blaney here, but I put sometimes Blaney and not Anderson also, but it's supposed to be dash Anderson.
Okay.
Either way, it's still her.
I just want everybody to know that it's the same person. So this is from July to October 2017. No discussion.
How does anybody? This has been voted on once already. We're just bringing it forward to vote on it again.
Correct, because
Because it
the
wasn't on the agenda the first.
the complaint that was filed said that there was not adequate notice.
It was voted in.
So the intent was to bring this back on tonight's agenda with the proper notice, have the item be rediscussed and then revoted.
I want to do some discussion, but
Do you want to read this motion first? Is this the motion you want to use?
That would take place after you
After.
vote to make any decision.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the stipend from July till October of 2017 as we previously voted.
Second.
All right, now discussion.
So, my only question, I read through John's letter, my only question is, Tim Scanlon resigned on July 14th. We're giving her a stipend going back to July 1st. Do we know if Tim, that was his official resignation date, do we know if he worked at all in the month of July?
And I had been asked to check into that, and I did not have a chance to get that answer from accounting before tonight's meeting.
I do have it. I do have his time sheets, his log sheets that he worked. The first week, he worked 10 hours. And the next week, he worked 2 days, 8 hours.
In July?
That was those two, before he was officially,
So-
he worked 10 and 8, and Brittany worked well over that time. Even before July, she did work for town. They kind of overlapped a little bit. So, that's the case. He worked 10 and 8.
Do you have, and I don't mean with you now, did Brittany keep timesheets when she was doing that?
Yes, we have,
I'm just
she
talking,
has log sheets.
just talking for July, so she has log sheets that said she worked these hours in July
She
too.
did, yep.
Do you- and-
No, I mean, she worked hours in those 2 weeks, yeah.
So my question is, if Tim is an access coordinator, why he has to work as an access coordinator? Why he has to fill in his role? I think, I don't know.
If Tim was the access coordinator, why was?
So until July 15th, he is the access coordinator. For July, and we are consider giving a stipend from July 1st to July 15th, or whatever the time for Brittany took. If he is working as an access coordinator, if he can work maximum of 20 hours per week, then how come she went and she worked as an access coordinator? That doesn't make any sense.
Can I just?
I can just,
Yeah.
the work wasn't getting done. I mean, I have Brittany's log sheet, things like payroll, file management, 2 hours. This is starting on the 27th of June. Meetings, Board of Selectmen's reviews, things that she did, and she has hourly payroll communication by half an hour. The first week of the month, she logged 19 and a half hours. The next week, she logged 24 hours. But the max she's gonna get paid for is the 14. So she did this as part of her position, because the work was not getting done by this other gentleman, because he was leaving. He clearly said he was done.
In most positions, you have, the Army would call it a left seat, right seat ride. You have two people doing the same job, so the incoming person can see what the outgoing person was doing, and you're paying them both. And that's standard practice.
All right. We got a motion, and second. We have a second? Wait.
I didn't,
Yeah, it's been motioned and seconded, yeah?
You have a second?
no.
Okay.
Fine.
All in favor?
I,
No,
Opposed? No, okay. Now, do you want someone to read this?
This next motion is a suggested motion, which is a necessary step in responding to the open meeting law complaint, in that we have to send communication to the state to let them know what our action was in regards to the complaint, and let them know that the issue has been resolved. So the motion is to authorize the chair to sign a letter to go to the state.
I make a motion to authorize the chair to submit to the AG's office a necessary copy of the complaint and details regarding what actions the board took to address the complaint at the subsequent BOS meeting of January 3rd, 2018.
Second.
so what was our action here? So just we are re-voting, that's the action?
Reposted this agenda item, rediscussed it, revoted it.
Separate.
Is there any open meeting law violation here?
In what aspect, Raj?
Whatever, that was his allegation, right? Alleged violation, he says open meeting law violation.
Right.
Or we violated anything?
Town council made the opinion that it could be determined that there was no violation at that meeting that the vote took place, because what we're obligated to do by law is to have the agenda include all agenda items that the chair can reasonably be expected to be discussed at that meeting. And this was a very last-minute addition that was brought to the table during the meeting. There was no way that the chair could reasonably expect that that would be asked. So, town council is saying that technically it probably was not a violation, but at your meeting, you all decided to bring this back to this session.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm thinking what we're doing next there. Okay, consider approving the hiring of Keith Fancy's.
There's two here. Stipend, we voted on,
Brittany.
yeah, there's two.
Oh, no, there's another.
There's two, I don't know which we voted on,
Do that?
I thought so.
the next one.
So,
Considering approving a stipend for Brittany Blaney for filling in as Essex coordinator from October 2017 to January 1st, 2017. I thought we did
that should be November.
One says July to October 17th, and the other one says
It should be November.
October 17th to January 1st.
I thought we already
I thought
approved.
we did that last meeting, or meeting before.
Or it's on the agenda, so which one,
No.
I'm just curious which one we just voted. Was it the first one, the July to
Yeah.
October?
Yes.
That's one we just
Yeah.
voted.
Okay,
July
so the
to
next
October.
one would need to be
So
voted on.
but we need to
November
go
1st to June.
from November to January.
Well, yeah, so November 1st to January 1st.
I don't have the minutes in front of me, but I thought we approved that for 14 hours at our previous meeting through January 1st. Or,
I thought we did too.
I do have the minutes.
What would be the issue if we just revoted on it? If it was,
There's no issue in revoting it.
yeah, I mean, it's up to the board, but I'm just,
So is the motion going to be at a rate of 14 hours a week at a rate of 17, was it 1750?
50 now.
Is that,
Yep, that's what it was.
all right, I'll make a motion to approve a stipend for Brittany Blaney for November 1st, 2017 through January 1st, 2017, for 14 hours per
It
week.
should be 18.
18, for 14 hours per week at a rate of $17.50 an hour.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
No,
Okay. Consider improving the hiring of Keith Fancy as a temporary part-time plow, excuse me, plow driver for the Department of Public Works effective January 8, 2018 till May 31st. Boy, if that was so never
Can't work
12.
tonight?
At a rate of
2018 at a rate of 18.20 per hour.
1828. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
aye,
Aye.
Considering request to transfer the entertainment license issued to Pearson Realty Trust into Pazzi Incorporated at 555 Prospect Street. That's, that's Pycroft, right?
Is someone here?
Come on. How you doing? Introduce yourself.
Hi, gentlemen. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
Just introduce yourself and your business.
My name is Angelo Vangos. Pantazis Inc. is the corporate name for Pinecroft Dairy. We're just looking to transfer the license that was held by Pearson Realty Trust and Eric Pearson for the entertainment for the Pinecroft concert series that have been going on now for, I believe, 8 or 9 years. And no parameters are changing in regards to the permit that's being requested to be transferred over. Same hours, same days, and I think it's a benefit to the town. I think we get a great crowd that comes up there and enjoys the concerts. We'd like to continue that tradition.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Are you gonna keep the similar type of entertainment?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, all live music, all bands, yes. Yeah,
This is a transfer because the business is transferred?
yes.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate it.
Happy New Year.
Good luck with that.
Municipal calendar for 2018 with updated department entries.
Right, hopefully you've all had a copy of it. What this version is that you have in front of you tonight is an expanded list of action items. We had talked about ensuring that, in particular, DPW had a list of all the activities that were related to DPW, including certain parks activities. So this includes that new listing. What this doesn't do yet is breaking out those activities by department level. And I guess I'm looking for some guidance from the board tonight in terms of, is it necessary that this working document do that, or is it possible that that breakout just be what is posted on each individual webpage?
Can you just give an example of what?
Well, for example, there are in each month, there are a number of items that are specific to DPW. So in terms of making sure that there's transparency, easier for the public to understand what the monthly responsibilities are for DPW, we would be taking those items, breaking them out, and having those be listed on the DPW page. This would still be one entire document that's posted on the website, so people could see it in its entirety. But rather than modify this document, the actual posting for each month could be broken out and then placed on that department's webpage.
I think that would be clearer for people to.
Will there be a link on each item that says, DPW, ABC, and then a link from each calendar to the sub-calendar within the DPW page?
I don't think it needs to be that complicated. I think we can just find an area where it can be listed.
Okay.
Do you need?
You need a vote on that?
I'm just looking for some informal guidance from the board.
That's the way, yeah, I think that would be the best way.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, fiscal update. The senior center is working together. We're having a town meeting the 26th, is that correct?
February 26th.
Yeah, and then the election to follow that in 2 days. So we will be doing some meetings with the general public. We will announce the dates on that very soon, so we're looking forward to getting that done. The police station is done. Appointments and resignations, concurrence and appointment of Michael Francosia as an alternate wiring inspector effective January 7, 2018, for a term to expire April 30th, 2018, at a rate of $25 per inspection.
So moved.
Second.
Is that such a short time? Is that a reason for that? It's only 3 months?
So that it jives in with the normal reappointment schedule.
Okay, okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Consider appointing Brittany Blaney as interim access coordinator for WBPA TV effective January 1st, 2018, for one rate at a rate of $17.50 per hour at $14 hours a week.
The only thing that should be added to that, it wasn't on the agenda, is that until we hire an access coordinator. This is just until we hire the access coordinator. She's gonna be the interim. So the vote of the PEG board.
It is interim, yeah.
No, but interim, but until we hire, it doesn't have a date like we did
Oh,
last
okay.
time. This is it will end once we hire a new access coordinator.
So why don't we give some 3 months? So if you give a until, then what kind of motivation will be
The motion
there?
first, and we'll have discussion.
I'll make motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, now, I'm sorry, Raj, go ahead.
So if you don't have an end date, so there won't be any motivation to hire anybody. So, and also it seems like, interim is fine. From this interim is going on from last July to now. And I'm not sure, what kind of an entry process are going to be happened, and if they're going to advertise further. I know that they have advertised, but, so I think, it will be better to give a 3 months than extend, if needed. So if you don't have an end date, so there won't be any motivation to go look for a candidate.
I would
See-
no, I'm sorry, you're not done. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah.
I
That's
would
all.
just say that the PEG board has been working very hard, and they are very motivated to fill this position, and they're doing a good job. And again, she doesn't want this position. She's helping us out here. We just don't want to come back in a couple months. We have 2 people right now interested. I sent emails to one telling him we're ready to interview him. That was a week and a half ago. I haven't received any response. I'm going to call him up and see if he can come to the meeting. And we have one other gentleman that's on vacation that we're going to interview. And I haven't had a chance to call him because he's not around. But we have interviews planned for our next PEG board meeting. If I can get those 2 people to come to the meeting. We're trying to fill the position. We've posted it. We've got applications. Every application's been reviewed and contacted. We want to fill the position.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Rucho, when is your next meeting scheduled?
Next Tuesday. A week from Tuesday, I think.
Tuesday.
So there's a good chance out of these 2 that there is a potential candidate.
It's Tuesday the 16th. Yeah, Tuesday the 16th. If I can get them to respond to an email and come to the interview, we may hire one of them.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
But I think
Okay.
the important thing is that she does not want the job.
Yeah,
Am I correct?
but she's an intern, she's getting paid anyway. Whether it's a job or intern job, so keep on extending.
But someone has to do the job.
Someone has to get paid.
So, but you have the PEG board meetings in every month too. It's not like that's the only PEG board meeting you have. Within 3 months, you will have a PEG board meeting, right?
The vote of the PEG board was to do until we fill the position. I mean, if that's not what the board wants, I guess,
I have no issue.
One quick question. The last thing we voted on went through January 1st of 18. This one starts on January 1st of 18. Is that okay that those 2 dates are overlapping? I mean, it's a holiday.
I think it's, one says
Should we-
until January 1st, and then one says effective January 1st, so should it be January 2nd? I don't
That-
think it's-
Why don't you make it January 2nd to?
So I'll amend my motion to January 2nd of 2018.
I'll second.
Yeah, okay. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
Okay, you can consider concurrence in the appointment of Elaine Novia as town clerk. Elaine, you want to come up? How are you?
Good, how are you?
Okay. So everybody knows, Anita, do you want to?
Sure. Elaine Novia has been working for the town for 10 years as our assistant town clerk. And she has agreed to take on the role as town clerk. And the schedule would be 31 hours per week and being proposed to be compensated at the maximum grade that's allowed under the personnel policy of step 3 at that grade 7. So under the wage compensation plan that we currently have, that would be $24.37 per hour. One note, though, as we had discussed at the Board of Selectmen meeting, you know, it does make sense to look to make this position be a 40-hour-a-week position rather than a 31-hour-a-week position. So, you know, we will be looking to ask the voters at the next town meeting to make that change, to make it a full-time position. But in the meantime, it would be, Elaine would be coming on at the 31 hours per week.
The only thing that I'd be concerned about now is, I don't know if it could be now or a stipend also for her on and above the clerk, because now she's doing the job as the clerk and the assistant town clerk.
So we're going to be...
And she's doing it, what used to be, how many hours? 20 for the town clerk? How many hours?
31.
31 hours for
And
both
how many was the
positions.
assistant?
31 also.
31.
Right.
So we got one person doing all of these jobs.
Right. So
We had a stipend to that?
we're immediately looking at, we're ready to post the job of the assistant town clerk and get that going. We're obligated to post it internally for 5 days, and then look to see to advertise externally if needed. So, you know, I anticipate that within, probably by the first meeting in February, we would have a candidate to bring forward for the assistant town clerk position.
Well, I would ask
But,
for the time and a stipend.
Well, the
for that
time-
Yeah, I'm sorry.
time see what?
Yeah.
In the meantime, is what we're saying is we would like her compensated, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Agree.
I did receive a stipend from mid-July until the end of October.
Because you were doing the job of the clerk.
Right.
But you've
Nothing
not,
since October.
so you haven't had any stipend from October till present?
Right.
I thought that vote was to continue it until,
Right.
So we'll confirm that.
we need to confirm that, because I thought the vote had been modified to continue the stipend until
hired.
until hired.
Okay, I
Just
thought the
double check.
question was, had I gotten one?
Okay.
So we can check
sorry.
that, and then just any, I would say any other stipend until, because I know you say it's gonna be filled right away, but we know how slow things work sometimes, not by our fault, just by the rules. So I would just say that the stipend, a stipend be set up now as her being the assistant town clerk.
We'd have to look at what that stipend might be.
Yeah, that's fine.
You are saying more than whatever the stipends he's getting?
I don't know, the town administrator can figure out.
The current stipend that Elaine has been receiving, is
Yeah.
supposed to continue to be receiving until, you know, till hired, was to basically equal the amount of pay that she will be getting now as the town clerk.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, what's being discussed would be an additional stipend beyond what she'll be getting paid at that $24.37 per hour to compensate her for basically being responsible for 2 positions within one office.
Okay, I got it, thank you.
I would, this job is 31 hours a week, no overtime?
This is an exempt position. It never has been a non-exempt position.
So in reality, and I don't know the answer, but in reality, she might be making less as the clerk than she did as the assistant town clerk.
As has been occurring right along. I mean, you know, with an exempt position, you are obligated to do the number of hours that it takes to get the job done. So during elections or whatever, you know, there are a lot of extra hours that get put in beyond a normal 31-hour week or even a 40-hour week. But because it's an exempt position, it's a salaried position, that person would not be eligible for overtime.
So I would like to, whenever that needs to be done, we need to look at that, because there's no way the assistant town clerk should be making more than the town clerk.
We cannot dictate what positions are determined to be exempt and non-exempt. There's very clear federal standards
Right.
as to how that gets established.
So, but I think we can fix it by maybe adjusting the pay or something. I don't know, we just need to look at it, I think.
Well, it will be, we are looking at the pay as part of the compensation study.
And also work with the hours.
Going back to 40.
We'll adjust it, we'll make it payable.
But in reality, she'll still make less. She's gonna be working 9 more hours. You know, if she was the clerk assistant. So, I mean, I just think we have to look at it and iron it up. I know it's new, and Elaine's willing to work with us and get this done, so
Well,
that's...
it is part of the compensation study that's underway.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, how did we come up with compared to the past clerk, with this hourly rate? Where does that, is that
From the
in
personnel
line?
policy dictates the maximum amount that we can bring a person into a position. It says we cannot go beyond the step 3 of the grade.
Okay, so can you just answer, is that in line with what our person was
Kim
for?
was at maximum step when she retired, and I don't have that dollar figure in front of me,
She was at the
but
max?
she was at the max.
So under the personnel bylaw, can us or you say that she doesn't have to start at step 1? Because of her qualifications?
Yes, we
and
have the
things?
ability to bring her in at that maximum of step 3 because of her experience.
So she's at the max?
Now, she's at step
The
3,
max,
which is
the most you
maximum
can go is
allowed
to 3.
by the personnel policy, correct?
Okay, thank you.
And the town is working on personnel bylaws, I mean,
The
policy-
compensation study.
Compensation policy, that's something that's gonna be a big discussion for us.
It will be this spring, yeah.
So a question for you, Elaine. You were supposed to be receiving the stipend all along. You're saying it stopped in
I didn't
October?
understand that question. I think at the last time a stipend was discussed, I received a stipend from July to October, and I did receive that check. And then I believe it was said that, Anita said that she would be coming back to you to ask for an additional stipend for more time.
So you haven't received any stipend since October is the answer?
Yes.
So October, November, December, and then keep...
So the amount will
keep
be
something
until the
going
date of hire.
Until the date of hire, and then keep
For that
something going
stipend.
as long as she's the assistant town clerk also.
Right, but you haven't received that pay in the last 3 months?
Right.
Okay, so that's something that should be easily rectifiable based on our vote.
Yeah, now that we know the date.
Right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. Lynn.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, thank you very much.
I just want to thank all of you on the select board and town administrator for your support in this appointment, and I just want to assure you all that, and the townspeople, that I'll do my best to fulfill the duties of the town clerk to the best of my ability.
We know you will.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
so
very
much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, meeting invitations. Announcements, January 9th, 7 PM, the 5th meeting, which is Tuesday, right? Can we change it to
It's a
Tuesday?
Tuesday night this time.
Yeah, okay. And January 22nd, 7 PM, townwide planning public forum. Anita, they want to try to get everybody, their ideas, so this is the first one.
Right, this, what we're doing at this public forum on January 22nd is to have a public feedback on the first 4 draft chapters that have been developed. Those include economic development, population and housing, open space, and schools. And the intent is to have representatives from each of the committees who develop those draft chapters be at the session to give brief explanation to the chapters and to kind of help facilitate discussion about the goals that have been identified in the chapters, answer any questions that the public might have.
So hopefully if anybody wants to participate in that, just, can do that. All right, future agenda items, Ms. Martin?
I'm all set, thank
We
you.
got the Green Communities
Very
announcement.
green community.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
It's a big one.
Yeah, okay. And Nelson Town has designated as a green community, which is great news for us. And, you want to follow up with anything on that, Anita?
That's what we get.
You get $145,435.
It is, it's a great boon to the town, that $145,000 will help us get started on the additional energy saving projects that were identified through the audit, energy audit that was done as part of our application process. And when we get our new facilities manager on board, that will be one of the first few projects that that individual will be responsible to getting started. And I just want to take a moment again to thank Norma Chanis for all of her work in really coordinating this application to get done. If it wasn't for Norma, if it wasn't for Nancy, pulling together all the statistical information that was required in this, I don't think that we would have been successful in getting it, having applied for this in time. And it was one chance for us to get an application in on this.
Did you see where Boylston got a new electric light truck from this grant?
Yes.
And then it was $200-something
I don't remember
thousand.
the
There's
value.
only one in the whole state, and they got
And
it.
they got it.
Yeah.
So we do need to apply for a grant? So what
We are getting this $145,000 outright as a designation award, but then annually moving forward, we'd be eligible to apply through a competitive grant process for additional funding for projects.
Take it.
I'm good.
Just want to announce that the rubbish, I know there's some issues with the rubbish. Let's see, it's going to snow tomorrow. So Friday, they're going to start picking up again, and
I think that
they say they will try to get it on Friday, probably Monday, Tuesday, something like that. It's going to be a few days. But don't leave your rubbish in the street. Just bring it back in your yard and stuff like that, and we'll try to get it straightened out as fast as possible. Cold weather's affecting everybody, and it's hard to get everything coordinated, but that's the issue right now. So we just want to let everybody know, they're not picking up tomorrow because of snow, obviously, and they're going to start again Friday morning, and we'll see how far they get, but no promises on any streets.
So the answer, I think, right now to the public is, take it in tonight,
Yes.
get it off the roads, and wait for the town to come up with we're trying to get a schedule, so people from Monday are saying, should they put it out Friday? Tuesdays, people saying, should we put it on Saturday? So, sorry, but we don't know the answer. And I think the town is as upset of the communication. We understand that trucks break down and things like that, or whatever happens, but I think the issue we have is the communication with the rubbish hauler that we're a little concerned about, because tonight they said they were gonna pick up the whole town that was left, but they just left town, so just take it in tonight, and we hope the town administrator and the DPW director will send out a email, Facebook, everything we can do to let people know the schedule once we set it.
Exactly.
Thank you.
So to add to I think, during this holiday seasons, there are more trash, and also with the snow. There's only one truck and only one guy is doing these things. Is there a way we could get,
Actually,
More
they
than
put
one or
on
more than
additional trucks to
Yeah.
help with the
Today they
overload.
had 2 trucks in town, but
so
didn't
I did
work.
notice, this morning in Malden, the Maple Street, Malden Street is cleaned all the time. Malden Street has no issue. So Maple Street, in front of every house, there are like 10 bags. So I think, that's how they are,
Yeah, and they actually did, at
So
their
much
own
work.
initiative, put on an extra truck today to try to help resolve this issue.
And in defense to these folks, in the past, when we didn't have this cold weather, Christmas was picked up and they used to do it, but I guess it's not, from what I understand from the DPW, it's not the trucks that have an issue, it's where they dump the rubbish, if that's.
It's a combination of two things. Some of the trucks are having issues because of the extreme cold temperatures. But I think what appears to be more of a complication is the fact that the landfills that they take the rubbish to, by their permit, are limited in terms of the numbers of hours that they can be open every day. The only extra day that they can be open is on a Saturday that follows a holiday. So they're limited in terms of the hours, so that the landfill ends up having to shut down, which then,
Before they can get there.
before they can get all the trash